Welcome to the Metaphysical Manifesting Podcast with intuitive lightworker, national speaker, metaphysical teacher, and best-selling author Lisa Kessler. What is it you want to manifest? Are you looking to increase your income, change careers? Maybe you want to manifest a new home or a new car. Are you ready to bring love into your life? You have come to the right place.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm going to take you on a little time traveling today. So I am on Facebook, as many of you probably are, and your memories come up. Every day they show you memories from however far back. And recently I got a memory that popped up from 5 years ago, so 2020. And it was so interesting because in 2020, when everything shut down, the pandemic was raging and everyone was a little bit scared. I remember being very unsure about, how you contracted the virus. It was a fearful time just around the world. And at that time, I was still in San Diego and I thought, what can I do to spread light? So I started doing Facebook Lives and just pulling tarot cards for whoever showed up. One card readings. And it ended up being something that I did twice a week for a while, just because it gave me some way to give back, even though we were all shut in our homes. And I think that it gave people a lot of hope. At least I hope it did. But when that came up in my Facebook memories, I realized, that girl, 2020 me, had no idea at that point in time that we would have to move all the way across the country to Florida. She had no idea that she would make her own tarot deck or write a nonfiction book about reading tarot intuitively. No idea. In fact, she didn't know that she would start this podcast, Metaphysical Manifesting, or open her own business where she helped women do amazing things, manifest their best life. None of that was on the horizon for me. And that was only 5 years ago. So why am I sharing this? Because I want you to realize that right now, wherever you are, you have no idea what amazing things wait for you just 5 years down the road. It's a blink of an eye. But so much can change if you're open and if you're willing to follow the path wherever it leads you, because, oh my gosh, life is messy. So if you've ever had a dream that maybe felt too big or would mess everything up, so way too messy to start, then this episode, it really is for you. And I hope that it will encourage you to trust the process and manifest it anyway. It is worth the effort. So when I moved to Florida, I joined an online writers group. I actually joined that in San Diego. We were the Word Makers, and I managed to crank out an astronomical amount of books in the span of 3 years. It was a lot. I think 20. Anyway, it was a lot of books. And so Practical Tarot, the idea of the tarot deck, I taught a Tarot for Writers class, which I do about once a year. And this was the first time that I had been teaching it online. And at the end of the class, they were telling me I should write this in a book. And I thought, wow, I've never thought about writing a nonfiction book. I am a fiction writer. I think 46 fiction books out there now. And so the thought of writing a tarot book, I just thought, gosh, could I do that? So guys, I went ahead and thought, well, I'm going to try. So I reached out to my agent who agented my fiction work and told her what I was thinking. And she sent me some nonfiction book proposals so I would have a framework to work within to write this up. And I worked on it and I got this nonfiction book proposal together and she got it. And probably a week later, she broke up with me. I wasn't selling anything that she could really sell. She didn't have the contacts for this particular spiritual nonfiction. I totally got it, and we're still friends. Nothing bad. But at the time, guys, it was heartbreaking. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this was happening. And I'm stubborn enough that I thought, well, I think the universe is telling me it's time. So I had this proposal together and I shopped it myself for with different metaphysical publishers all over the place. And 3 expressed interest, and I gave them more information, but in the end, it just didn't work out. And again, great spot for me to give up, right? But what I did was I put it on the back burner because I still thought it was a great idea, but maybe I didn't have all the parts yet. Enter a tarot deck. I had not thought I would make my own tarot deck because my friends, cannot draw. I can't draw stick people. And so I thought there's no way I can handle the artwork. But the idea wouldn't leave me. So I was working on another fiction book, and while I was working with my cover designer, I asked her if she would be willing to make the art for me for a tarot deck. And she said it was a little out of her wheelhouse and introduced me to Holly Carton, who was fantastic. And we decided, oh my gosh, let's do this. But getting original art is expensive. Much more money than what I had. So I did a Kickstarter, my first Kickstarter ever. Huge learning curve, huge. And it hit so many snags along the way. Oh my gosh. I am so grateful to everyone who backed my Kickstarter and was so patient with me, because between printers in China and it was a lot. My artist got pregnant in the middle and she was very sick. So anyway, it was a lot. But the reason I'm sharing this story is back to 5 years ago. No idea that I would do a Kickstarter, that I would learn to work with printers in China, that I would learn to work with an artist, that I would make my own tarot deck. All of these big giant dreams hadn't even occurred to me. And when they did, they were so big, I could have backed away. I could have said, no, my path is right here. This is what I'm doing, and not done it. There were days when I was really frustrated when that little voice in my head would go, Lisa, why did you do this? Why? Why can't you be happy with what you had? Why did you have to push? But you know what, guys? It was so worth it, because now every week when I do my free weekly tarot reading on my YouTube channel, which if you are not subscribed, the link is in the show notes. But anyway, I get to do it with my own tarot deck that I made. Anything is possible if you are willing to be open and be messy. Be messy. I didn't know the right plan. Oh my gosh. Through it all, I lost my agent. I didn't get the book picked up. When I had a tarot deck, after we did the Kickstarter, I was able to find a publisher. And it was one of the 3 that were so excited about the book. Once I had the deck to go with it, everything clicked. So again, be willing to continue even though the path gets really messy. It didn't go the way that I thought it would. So from that first spark, when I had this idea, you get this feeling inside that it should exist. But when you are stuck in the messy middle of how am I going to make this happen, that's when all those doubts come up. That's when imposter syndrome comes up. And you tell yourself, why would anyone want this? Right? That was when I'm writing that nonfiction book going, wow, is anyone going to want to read this? Keep going. And then when the magic happens, when you can look back and go, oh my gosh, I did that. When you are knee deep in it, you can't see how incredible your journey has been. But toward the end, when everything starts to fall into place, when I got to hold that first sample deck that came in from China, guys, it still wasn't perfect. We had to fix the color saturation on, I think, 12 cards. So even though I had that sample deck in my hands, it still wasn't the finished product. But oh my gosh, what a Herculean effort it had been just to get to that point. And it was so thrilling to see, hold it in your hand, something that didn't exist before. You took an idea out of air and you made it into a material thing that other people can use. There is such a thrill for me when I see other tarot readers online using my deck. I try to always share them when I find them, just because it's so fantastic to see what their intuitive reading is of that card. It doesn't have to be what it is for me, because tarot is a tool, right? And none of that would have ever happened had I given up. And there were so many places that I could have given up. And then when you have these visions, I hope that it will remind you that it was worth it. You know, keep in mind that if you struggle with perfectionism, because again, it was so messy, guys. I didn't go with the first printer. Then when the hardcover books came out, by the time we were ready to go for the Kickstarter, they had changed the pricing so much because the cost of paper went up that I couldn't afford it. So we had to switch everything and change the cover to do trade paperbacks. There's the word. So anyway, just know that if you're struggling with perfectionism, a lot of times it's just a delaying tactic, right? It's just your brain going, but I don't know the path to get there, so it's not for me. But if you had that idea, if you had that spark of inspiration, it was given to you, right? You don't have to know the perfect path. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And being open, like I just shared with you, takes being brave, because there were so many times that there were times when I'm in the middle of an obstacle going, oh my gosh, why did I start this? I wish I had never started this. I hope you all can relate to that, because anytime you do something big, like say buy a house, you are in escrow going, oh my gosh, why did I do this? Why did I ever want to buy a house, right? But then when you move in, you go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this. So be open and be brave. Be brave. Your messy dream, it's worthy. You are worthy. So I hope that this story kind of encourages you to really think big, because again, 5 years ago, me had no idea that all of these things would manifest. And that goes too for if you're struggling right now. If you're struggling right now, just know that 5 years down the road, your life is going to have some incredible turns that you never saw coming, if you're willing to risk making that turn, right? So go out there and get it, because it is worth it. Worth it. All right. And I also wanted you to know that when you trust the process, you can start trusting even before you can see the outcome. Going back to when I had that book proposal and no one picked it up, I already knew that I was going to pursue this. I wasn't sure yet what the missing piece was. And then when the missing piece became the tarot deck and all of that started to come together, I just had to trust that this was all going to work out, even though I wasn't quite sure how yet. So don't be afraid. Don't feel like you have to have every piece of the puzzle. You are co-creating with the universe, right? You're not doing it alone. You don't have to know all the steps. And in fact, sometimes it's better if you don't, because the universe can bring you something bigger and better than what you had anticipated. If my agent hadn't have broken up with me, if she had sold that book proposal, I wouldn't have a tarot deck in my hands right here. What? See? So sometimes it gets messy because the universe has a bigger plan for you than you even thought to imagine. So be open, be messy, and maybe journal about this. What dream have you put on hold because you're afraid you don't know how you would get there, or you're afraid it might make your life a little complicated right now? And then take that idea, that dream, and maybe write down one small step that you can take today to get a little bit closer, right? Just trust the process, even if you can't see the outcome yet. And of course, I gotta say, if you need extra support on this path, you do not have to do it alone. You wouldn't run a marathon without a coach. So why would changing your life be easier? Down in the show notes, there is a link to schedule a free Q&A call with me on Zoom. I'm happy to talk to you about your big dream and what might be holding you back and see if we might be a good fit. I have helped women manifest such amazing things: new homes, new lives, trips around the world, walking again, health, happiness, love, joy, babies. We have manifested it all, and it's all for your highest good. So it all begins with you taking that first step. Even if you're not sure how you're going to get to that big dream, I promise you it's possible. And also remember, if you're struggling right now, 5 years from now, your whole life can be different. Yes, it can. All right? You're not stuck. So I'm sending you good vibes. Be messy and be open.
Thanks for listening to the Metaphysical Manifesting Podcast with Lisa Kessler. If you have questions or comments, or if you'd like to work with Lisa to manifest your dreams, you can connect with her through her website at metaphysicalmanifesting.net. That's also where you can claim your free weekly tarot reading and manifesting tips. Make sure you subscribe or follow the Metaphysical Manifesting Podcast on your favorite podcasting site so you never miss another episode. As Lisa likes to say, we can make magic when we bring the universe into the equation. Remember, you don't have to do it alone. If you'd like more information about Lisa, Metaphysical Manifestation Mentorship, or the Manifesting Magic Mastermind, visit her website at metaphysicalmanifesting.net.